morning. Today we will be discussing about the introduction of the blockchain. This is the very first lecture and we will be covering the basics about the blockchain. There is a very popular myth that whenever we are talking about the blockchain, we are considering it as a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency. But let us make a clear point that blockchain is not equal to Bitcoin or Bitcoin is not equal to blockchain. Basically, blockchain is an underlying technology that enables the Bitcoin, the technology that works behind the Bitcoin and processes all the transactions and records all the entries in a block that is known as a blockchain. So, if Bitcoin is not blockchain, then how can we define the blockchain? What is blockchain? So, basically, the blockchain is an open distributed ledger that can be recorded can be used to record the transactions between two parties, and efficiently it is a verifiable and a permanent way of recording the transactions. It can be considered similar to the ledger books or the audit books that we are using during our financial transactions in the banks, during our businesses, in which we record all the debits and the credit transactions with whatever is happening in our account. So the basic properties that we can uh, consider for the blockchain are it is open, distributed, it can be considered as a ledger, it is distributed peer-to-peer network, and it is a permanent record. It cannot be changed or modified. Whatever has been recorded in the block, it will stay in that block only. So another definition, another way of defining the blockchain is blockchain is a shared and immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording the transactions and tracking assets in the business network, right? So we can consider that suppose you are having a money at your home. You go to the bank, you deposit that account and you get an entry in your passbook. What happens in the and the bank records that transaction, whatever you have deposited or withdrawn from the bank is recorded in a transactional ledger book, right? They maintain a book in which they put each and every entry of credit and debit that is happening in your account. What blockchain is doing? Blockchain is maintaining that entry in a particular block. So whenever any transaction happens, either you deposit a money or you withdraw money from your account, it is going to create a particular block. That block is transparent. That block is visible to all the users between which the blockchain is shared. For example, it can be shared among the bank that is maintaining the record. It can be shared among the users that are having the accounts. So whatever transactions, whatever debit and credit is happening in your account, it is visible to you. The block is entered, the block is inserted in the chain only when it is verified by all the users, all the persons that are involved in during that transactions. When they verify the transaction, only then that block will be inserted in the blockchain, right? So if I haven't performed any transaction and a new block has been created and it is representing that 500 rupees is being debited from my account. If I haven't withdrawn that money, then I am not going to verify that block, right? Until and unless I will be verifying that block, the block will not get the space in this particular chain, right? So we will study in future, we will study that how this block is created, how we are maintaining this immutable or not modifying and changing the value of the block, how these transactions are recorded in the blockchain. So ledgers are very important. Let's have a look at what is a ledger, how we are maintaining this ledger in the blockchain. So basically the ledger is the system of the record for the businesses. It records assets transfer between the participants. So basically, it is a kind of a book similar to this. It maintains all the transactions. For example, let me give you an example that if I have went to the ATM, I have withdrawn a 20,000 rupees from my ATM card, but due to some technical fault, the amount was debited from my account, but I haven't received the 20,000 rupees. So I registered a complaint. After verification, the bank recredited the amount to my account. So in this ledger book, there will be an entry in which a 20,000 debit has been occurred in my account, and after verification from the bank, there will be another entry that will credit the 20,000 rupees to my bank account, right? So that means this transaction will record each and everything, small or big transaction, whatever is happening in my account, whether it is a technical fault, whether it is not a technical fault, whether I have withdrawn the money, whether I have credited the money, whatever is happening, that will be recorded in this ledger book. Similar way is maintained in the blockchain. Blockchain is also maintaining each and every big or small transactions, big or small entry, whatever is happening to that particular application for which the blockchain has been implemented, right? That particular block is going to record each and everything. So business will have multiple ledgers for multiple business networks in which they participate, right? So it can be similar to an Excel sheet also. The principal book or computer file for recording or totaling financial transactions by account type, with debit and credit in separate columns, and a beginning monetary balance and ending monetary balance of each account, right? So it can be, we can consider it a physical ledger book, or we can also consider it a kind of an Excel sheet which keeps the record of big, small, whatever we are doing with the account. So these are the basic terms which will help us to learn more about the blockchain. Next important thing is who are participants, what are transactions, and what are contracts. So participants, the member of the business network, customers, suppliers, government regulatories, which usually resides in an organization and has a specific identities and a role. Suppose we are creating a blockchain for the medical facilities, right? So who will be the participants? The doctor, which are going to use that blockchain, the patients whose data, whose entry will be recorded in the blockchain, and the hospital which will be implementing that blockchain. So these are the participants, right, which have their role, which have their contribution in that particular block, which are going to use directly or indirectly the information that are stored in that block. So transactions, any asset and asset transfer. Suppose in this there is an example that John gives a car to Anthony, right? So this is a very simple example that there is a transaction happening between John and Anthony, in which John is selling his car to Anthony, and Anthony is supplying some money or providing him some money in return of his car. So this is a simple transaction that I am giving you my car and you will be giving me some money in return. What is a contract? So there are three terms: participants, transaction, and contract. What is a contract? These are the conditions. After completing that particular condition, only the transaction is going to happen. For example, if Anthony pays John money, then car passes from John to Anthony, right? This is a very simple deal that I gone through the car and I decided that yes, I will be purchasing this car. So I will be giving money to the owner, suppose in this case John. So I will be giving him the money whatever he is demanding, and then he is transferring the paper of the car to me. I am the new owner of the car, right? Second is the case if car won't start, funds do not pass to John, right? So second, we have a contract that if this car is not going to start, I am not going to transfer any money. So until and unless I found this car that it is a very good condition and I will be purchasing this car, but the condition is that it should also start, right? So until and unless I'm going to start this car and it will be running for suppose 5 kilometer or 10 kilometer, whatever has been decided in our contract. So until and unless it is going to cover that particular distance, I am not going to transfer the money to the John. So this is the contract that has been happened between me and the John. Until and unless that condition is satisfied, only then I will be making the transactions. So these are the contracts. So in blockchain, these three things are very important: participants, transactions, and contracts. So let's cover more about the transactions. What are transactions? Transactions are basic data structures that encodes the transfer of value between the participants. So basically, what is transaction? Transaction is basically what is happening between me and John, right? So we are recording that thing in a data structure, right? In a particular format. What is data structure? Data structure is a basically storing a data in a structured format, right? The format that is decided in advance. So blockchain is also having a particular format in the form of a block, right? And we are using some encryption algorithm, some hash keys, public keys to store that data in the block. So this is what a transaction looks like. So it is verified, it is signed by the user who has created the block, and then it is verified by the another user or the peers that are associated with on that particular network. Only then that block will be added to the chain. So what is an asset? So in blockchain we are talking about the participants, the transactions, and the contracts, but the transaction and the contract is happening on the basis of the asset, right? We are selling something, we are storing something in our account. So that means everything that I am storing my data, patient data is also an asset. So whatever is happening in the blockchain, that is happening on some asset. So what are an asset? There are two types of asset: tangible assets and intangible assets. Tangible assets are house, car, cash, and land. Whatever we are having in the physical mode, these are tangible assets. And intangible assets are my patents, copyrights, branding, intellectual property right. Reliance is a brand. So this Reliance is a property of the Ambani group, right? So it is an intangible property of Ambani. I am not going to use the Reliance logo of the Reliance or the name of the Reliance for my business, right? So this is an intangible property of Ambani's. I have to take the permission, right? They have the copyright for this particular brand. So this is what the intangible and tangible assets. There are two types of assets. So how does this blockchain works? So here is a step by step description of the blockchain. A user request for the transaction, a block representing the transaction is created, right? So in the first step, I request for some transaction. So means I am going to request for to buy a particular car. So a block will be created for me on my behalf that I am requesting to buy a car. The block is broadcasted to all the nodes in the network. Then that particular block that I have requested to buy the car of the John, and no one other, this car belongs to John and no one else is claiming that particular car, or they are not claiming that this car has been purchased by them. So for that verification, the block will be broadcasted on the network. Then all the nodes validate the block and the transaction. Then all other nodes who are all other member of that particular block, right? All other members who are also interested in buying a particular car and they were also looking for that John's car, they will verify that yes, we haven't purchased this car and still this car belongs to John. You can go, you can proceed with your transactions. After validating, the block is added to that chain. Then this block will be verified and it will be added that this transaction is happening between me and John, and now I can transfer the money to the John, right? And the transaction is verified and recorded on the network, recorded on the block. So what are the benefits of the blockchain? Here we have registered some of the benefits of the blockchain. Faster settlement, right? These are immutable. Whatever has been recorded will stay in that block only. If you have recorded something by mistake, then you cannot delete it, right? You have to create another block stating that there was a mistake in the earlier block and these are the updated values for this particular block. So we cannot modify, we cannot delete, or we cannot change anything that has been recorded on a particular block. It is shared and distributed. It is shared between multiple users. So it is not going to happen that I am going to create a block, whatever I want, I will be inserting that block in a blockchain and it will be added in the block, right, in the chain. This is not going to happen until and unless everyone that are the part of that particular block, or the those who are the part of the particular network is not going to verify that block. That block will not be added in the chain. It is a decentralized and more secured, right? So we are using hash 256 algorithm. We will study these algorithms in our future slides, in our future lecture, right? And we will see how this hash 256 algorithm is making blockchain more secure and it increases the network capacity. So these are some of the remarkable benefits of the blockchain technology that we can use in our applications, that we can use this technology to design our applications for various domain, right? We can use this blockchain technology for medical domain. We can use this blockchain technology for the agriculture. We can also use this blockchain technology for banking transactions, for recording the ledgers online instead of using a big ledger books, right? So that's all for today's lecture. If you have any query, you can contact us. Thank you.